newest people to the group. Speaking today, please welcome Andrew Highland. We're excited. We're family, just easy sneezy.
Yeah. I have a lot of notes, but I don't know how many of them I'm going to use. We'll find out, I guess. So let's see here. All right, here we go. Yeah, so, we all know that God reveals the mystery of the gospel to those who seek to understand. And he does this out of love, but he also hides certain things from us that we can't handle. It's out of the same love, too. So that when the storm's raging around us, we can see his hand and hear his voice guiding us and see his footprints right before us as we walk down the path. So when I was very young, I was walking down that path, and so many things were hidden from me. And I realize now that was out of love. So that I wouldn't be too confused or too bewildered or so that I wouldn't take my life or take the life of someone else. So one of my earliest memories was my parents left me home alone when I was about 4. And I don't remember if it was for an afternoon or for overnight, but I remember standing in front of the living room door, kind of like a cheap stained glass. And I was looking out, and I was afraid to leave the house, but I was afraid to leave the door. I think I was just afraid someone might come in, or I was just afraid. And at that time, at 4 years old, I was already thinking, I don't want my parents to come back. And so I just thought, maybe they get in a car accident or something, and then I'll go live with someone else. Here we go. All right, so I used to not understand why, even as a kid, because I was raised in the faith, and one of the first things you learn about is Adam and Eve, and I was like, why doesn't God want Adam and Eve to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? It just never made sense to me. Why wouldn't you want that full knowledge? And I think it makes more sense to me now, because to really have a knowledge of evil is not necessarily a pleasant thing. So, so I understand that now. That was just something I felt like sharing because I just never understood it when I was young. And so obviously I was raised in a house that I was afraid all the time, and it's just crazy because I'm really afraid right now, but it's okay, The fear that I feel now is not like it was before. Before it was like I couldn't talk about it, couldn't it was like a big secret, like wanting my parents to not come back. That was a secret. Couldn't tell anyone that. And there was a lot of abuse that happened, and one time when it was happening, I started to lose where I was. Like I felt like my life was fading. And at that time, when he stopped hitting me, I just told him that I hated him. And he mocked me for that. But I really meant it when I said it. And that's one thing that was revealed to me a few weeks back, actually during worship here. It was that when you curse someone else, you're only cursing yourself. And, there's a lot of intergenerational stuff that I was dealing with, but I think that's, I don't want to say it's fully in the past, but it's not affecting me as much now. But there was that one thing where I was still in my heart cursing him. And it's like, when you have that much hate for someone, it doesn't matter what they did to you, it's still going to destroy you. It doesn't matter how justified you think it is, it's still going to destroy you. And this is where it gets crazy, because I used to, like after he would beat on me, he would leave the room and I'd be in my room. And it's like I didn't want to read books, because that's what I usually did. I just imagined seeing him on his knees begging me for mercy. And then I could mock him the same way he mocked me. And so it's crazy how things work, because if you fast forward 20 years, so this was a couple years, or a year and a half ago, I used to take him with me to Barbara Combs' house, because she does a lot of health treatments there. And actually, if anyone has health problems, she's the great person to go to. And we went there to get her health treatments every Tuesday at 9:30. And so I'd been up for a while. It was 9:25, and he hadn't come out of his room, and usually he would get ready before, because he knew we were going there. And he enjoyed going there. And so I knocked on the door, I called his name, then I opened the door, and there he was, kneeling on the floor beside his bed. So he was having a stroke, and totally helpless, and it was the exact image I had in my head as a kid. And I panicked big time. I tried to lift him up, ended up throwing out my back, and it took a lot of months for me to realize why that disturbed me so much. It was because the greatest desire that I had ever had in my life was to see him in that position. But when I saw him in that position, it was the most horrible thing I've ever seen. So the thing is, that was honestly the greatest desire I ever had in my life, was to see that. It's like, and I tried to hold on to that. It's like, and so because of that, I could never give true love to a woman or be a true brother to a man, because my heart was just consumed with that rage and that anger. And anything I did, it just seemed like it amounted to nothing. Because our greatest desires shine through in everything that we do. And we can't inspire people to love when our greatest desire is hateful. So, it's probably a good thing I was never good at fighting or anything like that, because it probably kept me out of a lot of trouble. I only ever really fought with my brother. But and the thing is, because I wanted so badly to just get revenge on my dad, basically, because I knew I couldn't actually do what I wanted to do to him, it just meant that if what you desire the most, you're never going to be able to do, then that's going to create disappointment. And that means your life is going to be disappointing. So now that I've talked about the bad, it's time to talk about some good. So, thanks. It's like questions I had never thought would be answered are finally being answered for me. That I search and search and search, but they can only come from Him. And I've just had some really cool experiences, like we talked about the intergenerational stuff Mike did a month and a half ago or something like that, or maybe a little longer ago, but just after we were talking about that, he said no family secrets, and it was like 2 days after that, my half brother called me. So we have the same mom because she had some kids from her previous marriage. He called me, and then we were talking about family stuff, and he reached out. It was the crazy thing, and I actually had like a real brother to brother conversation with him, and it just cleared up so many cobwebs. And that's what I said to him. It's like, you realize we just cleared up all the cobwebs that were there. So he was my half brother, but now he's my full brother. And just when I look back, there was one time recently I was talking to a good friend of mine, an old friend, and he said, or we were talking about like close calls in life, like bad things that almost happened or close calls. And I realized when I was talking to him, there's been so many of them, I actually forget about them sometimes. And man, it's just crazy. Like when I lived in Guadalupe for a little while. I worked at a cooling company. I was working like 65 hours a week, 6 days a week, and I would ride my bike from Oceano to Guadalupe, which is a long ride on the highway, and it's a very narrow strip, like not even bike lane, and there'd be semi trucks going by me all the time, and just like you'd get the wind and you just have to like turn right to stay. It's like so many times that could have gone wrong. And there was one day, it was I had Sundays off at that job, and when I actually rode to Grover Beach, and I was pretty much sleep deprived the whole time I was working that job, and I rode in front of oncoming traffic that was coming off the freeway, just out of obliviousness, I guess, and I was able to see the car and turn right towards it, so it only hit my back tire. I was totally unscathed, and there was a couple people cursing at me, and I was like, yeah, I deserve that. But that happened, and then actually the last day on that job, so it was only a few months after that, I was training my replacement. So we had to go in the trucks after they were loading the food pallets and take the temperatures and all that. And the boss wanted us to get the temperature inside the truck, and we'd take a picture of it so that the buyers would know that it was done the right way. And so I'm taking my replacement in there, and also the truck driver's in there too. And all of a sudden it starts getting dark, and I was like, well, what's going on? So I look behind, and there's a wall of boxes coming at me, forklift, and it's stacked to the roof basically. And so I just, my instinct was to yell, hey, 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 and then finally we all started yelling, and we got out safely. But it's like, man, and when I was in 7th grade, I had a skateboard for like 3 weeks, and then it got stolen, and I was bad at skateboarding, but I was riding to school one day, and I again went in front of a vehicle, and it ran over my left foot. It was an SUV. It was like a Range Rover, a GMC or something, and it just barely. It hit my foot, but it didn't do any damage. It was so weird. And it's like, when I look back at my life, there's just been so many close calls like that, and so many things that, like, I can't even explain. It's just crazy. And so I've been really lucky and blessed in that way that I'm actually standing here healthy, relatively healthy and okay. And so one thing I've figured out that's made my life a little easier is that because I have a thing that comes back to me from time to time where I just feel forsaken, And I've asked God many times why is this here? And I think the answer is that it's just to understand the burden that Jesus Christ went through, that he subjected himself to, that he could have hidden from, but he didn't hide, and he saved all of us. And whenever any of us feel that spirit of forsakenness in our lives, it's just an opportunity to just give it all the glory to him for what he did. And, he is worthy of all, but he doesn't expect all from us because that's how merciful he is. And, I also want to say I met some amazing people who brought me back into the Word and back walking with God. Because like I said, I was raised in the church and all that. I was homeschooled, and there was plenty of Bible instruction and all that. But actually, the Kennedy sauna is a place where has saved my life basically. Because I met this guy named Costa who's 80-something years old, and I won't be able to do his story justice, but he actually, him and his family escaped the killing fields of Yugoslavia, 1940s, so it was just right after World War II. And this man, one day he was just talking to me about Christ, or he said something about Christ, and I was like, okay. Anyway, I would see him there, and we talked a lot, and I went to his church for a little while, but I was so far turned away from all of that, and then he kind of brought me back in. And then another person I met in the sauna was Jamie here, and and that was pretty awesome because that was the first time he prayed over me in the Spirit. He asked if he could pray for me because I told him I had a bunch of back problems, and an intense experience of the Holy Spirit, and that's the first time I had that experience since I was 9 years old. And so it's that was a major one. And, eventually he led me to this ministry, him and Randy actually, because they both invited me. And once two people invited me, it was just okay, I gotta check it out at least, So, yeah, no, obviously I'm blessed for this ministry because ever since I joined this ministry, my life's been changing rapid. And I'm blessed that Linda gave me this book. Actually, this ended up being one of the best presents I've ever gotten. And because if I didn't have this book, it's just what I write in this book is just all what I want to say. It's I've tried journaling before. People recommend that, but this is the thing I need to write in. So yeah, everyone I've met through this ministry has just been amazing, and I just want to share a little. It's kind of like a prayer I wrote, if I can find it here. Let's see. So I'll close with this. In every ray of light, in every sound that's made, his mark on every living thing, their origin's the same. I hear no curses, I only hear praise. I speak no evil, I only speak his name. He has cast out the darkness, and I rest in what remains. A soul tormented in the balance hanged, and his hand pushed me one way. So I follow one truth on the road that leads one way. On Judgment Day, let me answer the call of my name with no fear or shame. Lifting up holy hands to the glorious Savior who reigns.